calls. Mike is in Mahopac, New York. Go ahead, Mike.
Good afternoon. I'd like the professor's opinion and analysis on what he believes China will do in the near term in every area of policy, and also say for the next 25 to 30 years. And I'd like him to give his analysis of how China's behavior in, say, the last 10, 15, 20 years compares to Imperial Japan from, say, 1900 through 1941.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think, China has been on a roll for some time. Its modernization after 1978 has been truly remarkable. It's one of the great economic miracles of human history that it goes from this extremely poor country to, the second largest economy in the world in such a short period of time. I think that, there's some evidence that they may have actually reached the peak of that growth and are actually now on the downside of a longer term either stagnation or decline, but they've got a lot of momentum behind them, and I think they basically want to, remake a world order in ways that will be, favorable to them. I don't think that they are like the former Soviet Union, where they've got this messianic view that there's a certain ideology that has to prevail everywhere and that everybody has to be like China. They don't actually care. And in fact, I think many Chinese don't think that most countries are capable of really emulating them with, their respect for bureaucracy, for their, kind of internal state organization. But, they definitely do want respect. They keep talking about the 100 years of humiliation, where China, which had been recognized as one of the great, civilizations in the world, didn't get that kind of respect, and they want to have it, and that provides a big challenge to everyone else. Now, I think that the comparison with Japan is, it's accurate in certain ways. I mean, Japan was certainly the rising power in East Asia in the early 20th century, but they did that in a period when colonialism was the norm among powerful countries, that you wanted colonial possessions, and therefore they took over Korea, Taiwan, Manchuria, other parts of China. And I don't think that the Chinese are like that. I mean, their main issue really is Taiwan right now, because they all agree that Taiwan, and actually we agree that Taiwan is part of China, and they would like to reincorporate that island, and I think that's going to be the biggest bone of contention if they try to do that by force in the future. But I don't think that they are on a roll to then take over a lot of other parts of the world. They want influence, they want respect, but they don't want necessarily an empire of the sort that Japan tried to create in the 1930s.
Next call for Francis Fukuyama comes from Cornelius down in Alexandria, Louisiana. Cornelius, good to hear from you. Go ahead and make your comment or question.
Okay, Peter. First, happy and blessed 4th of July weekend to everybody out there. Peter, I have an author you ought to look at named Abraham W. Bolden. He has the book called The Echo of Dealey Plaza. He was the first African-American Secret Service agent for President Kennedy. He tried to prevent the Kennedy assassination. He got his pardon last year from Biden. That would be a great day for November. But now my question...
Hey, Cornelius, is that a new book?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
All right, I appreciate the recommendation. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, Mr. Francis, and I want to tell Mike, I was a military police officer. I trained to fight against the Russians. The Communist Chinese have this Belt Road Initiative where they're conquering not conquering, but they're going around buying up everything. They're buying up all our farmland near military bases, and small-town America is trying to fight against them. They've got a secret base, which is a military base down there in Cuba, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis during Kennedy. And you said you were conservative. Now you left the conservative party. My question for you, too, now President Trump tried to prevent January 6th. I can prove it. Peter Cash has, Kash Patel has evidence that he tried to get 20,000 troops there before that, but Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell's sergeant of arms, which they were ordered not to do anything. Even the Democrats have come out and said that the FBI knew about January 6th coming and did nothing. Ray Epps was behind all of this stuff, not President Trump. And President Trump wrote my debtor personally.
Hey, Cornelius, we got a lot here. Let's see what Professor FukuYama wants to respond to.
Well, I mean, look, the January 6th stuff, I think the material that's come out of the January 6th committee, tells you really much more accurately what happened on that day. And I would not trust Kash Patel's word on any of this. In terms of China, the Belt and Road Initiative is driven by a lot of different motives. I mean, one of it is just commercial, that you got these big Chinese construction companies that don't have a lot of business in China, and they want to keep people employed. They want to make profits, and so they've been told to go abroad. They do want to expand their influence. I think that, the use of this initiative for strategic military purposes, it does exist. There are certain facilities they're trying to create, but I think the fundamental thing is more a political one, where they just want to, cultivate goodwill in the developing world, and it's not working for them very well. A lot of their problems, a lot of their projects have developed real problems. They're not making money, and they're casting a lot of countries, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Argentina, Montenegro, into a huge debt crisis. And so in a way they're behaving a lot like American creditors or European creditors, 30, 40 years ago, and they're generating the opposite of goodwill. They're generating a lot of resentment on the part of countries that cannot repay these Chinese debts. And so I would say that that's really the big problem that the Chinese have created through this initiative of theirs.